In this video, we're going to be talking about the Melbourne F1 circuit, how to master it, some things to look out for, any technical corners, how to set up the car, and a practical quick lap in F1 24. If you're interested in what my thoughts are, definitely keep watching. For those of you new to my channel, my name is Martin and I started racing when I was 12. In the sim world, I've raced and beaten some of the best drivers in Australia. I worked as a driver and performance engineer in Formula 3 and I developed my own race strategy simulation software for Formula 1. I raced in KZ2 at the highest level and got pole position in my first ever race. I specialize in the open formula category and now have my own course and website where I can share my 20 plus years of driving experience with you, which I'll put a link to in the description below. So it is a street circuit. It's a temporary circuit. It reminds me of Canada a little bit because it's a skinny track and there's not much runoff as well. So mistakes are going to cost you. You need to drive Melbourne very within yourself. You need to, like when we talk about driving for consistency and just trying to make it through, it's one of those tracks where you just can't afford to risk too much. Lately, since the change of the old turn 9 now being extended, it's also very low downforce. So all the downforce has come off the car. And for that reason, you know, that it's a bit slipperier. You know, again, it's like similar to Monza in a way. You always drive a little bit within yourself. And that's different or as distinct to tracks where there's high downforce and you can attack, like, you know, places like Hungary, or, you know, Suzuka, attack. The car always feels amazing in Suzuka. So let's bring it up on the whiteboard and have a look at it together. All right, hopefully you can see that on the screen in front of you. And there it is in all its glory. This is the Melbourne F1 circuit. Like I said, low downforce these days. And the other thing I was going to say was, there's not really many technical corners either. If you have a look here, you've got turn 3, which kind of a hairpin, and then 13 also kind of a hairpin. They're not even hairpins, as you can see. They're just tight corners, but that's it. So it's one of the few tracks where there are no technical corners to note, which makes it, you would think, right, like a very simple track. But some of the things that are important are traction, like out of turn 3, traction is really important, and high speed stability as well, because you've got the high speed 1 and 2 where you go to get on throttle for turn 2. You've got 5, which is, you know, flat or nearly flat on a full tank of fuel. That's a problem. 6 is now much faster. The run onto 6 and 7 is very fast. So high speed stability. And 9 and 10, high speed stability is very important there as well. And then you've got traction out of 11 and traction out of 13 and traction out of 14 as well. So it's traction, high speed stability, and just driving within yourself. Yeah, like making sure the car is always pointing as straight as possible. Honestly, that's all there is to say about it. Just you want to be careful of like the grass here on the entry, and also the trees and the grass here on the entry into turn 3. These are where you can definitely get yourself into trouble. There's also grass on the entry here as well. This is where George Russell crashed up here at turn 6 behind Fernando. So it's those sort of things, you know, putting the outside rear on the grass. And yeah, like I said at the very start, if you can avoid mistakes, you're good. Let's jump out now onto the circuit and have a look at the track together slowly. All right, so Melbourne track guide, here we are. Second last corner is here, a sec. And yeah, this is really important. As you start your lap, get as far across to the left as possible, straight line this traction zone and send it all the way down the straight. I like to have the left front on that green and then just come off it right at the end. And you can see exactly what I'm talking about here. You see the grass here on the left, like, it's so risky to be here under braking, because if you happen to lock the rear or have a bit of rear instability, well, guess what? Your left rear is on the grass and you're going straight into the wall. So I like to follow this line here and actually come in slightly diagonal. And I'd rather have the left front on the grass than the left rear. So that's what I'm aiming for. Do take a bit of curb here, and it's important to get your foot as flat as possible, as early as possible, and short shift your way out as you come down to turn 3. You can see all these trees on the left here. That's exactly what I was talking about. And you've got like a curved braking zone here, so you're going to be turning a little bit, and it's very easy to lock up the right front. That's the unloaded inside front here. All the trees bring all this like leaves and marbles and all rubbish across here. So just make sure that even in real life, like when you're braking here, just be careful of that. Don't go too far to the left where all that rubbish is. You just want to stay like half a meter inside. Turn 3, kind of like a hairpin, but it's been opened up recently. Traction is a problem because you come over a little bit of a crest there, so the rear gets a little bit unloaded. And now this corner is really important. This is turn 4. And the most important thing that you do here is lift out of the throttle, maybe downshift 1, and let that aerodynamic braking and engine braking slow the car. You don't want to be touching the brake pedal with anywhere near any sort of pressure. It's got to be a gradual slow so that you flow into this corner. Be careful on traction again on the exit, because you're going to be on this curb and it's going to unload the rear again. And then you've got the flat. You can use this piece of tarmac, but you've got the flat turn 5 here. At least in quali it's flat. Again, you've got shadows and trees. You can see on the track here all of these shadows. It's just tricky to pick your braking point. So I like to use the actual road geometry here, and I put my left front here, and as soon as it touches there, that's when I know I need to brake and downshift and get into this corner. So you kind of use whatever you have, but that's something that doesn't move. Do take this curb and run it all the way out, straight line the acceleration as much as possible. Now, believe it or not, this flat section of track actually has a skill to it. You do need to use as minimal steering as possible, because it kind of waves its way, through here down to turns 9 and 10. So it's about steering as minimal as possible, making sure you time your shifts. The track's quite flat, so there's no bumps to worry about. But you can see, like, do you turn in here or a bit later, like here, and follow this around. And again, when you're opening the steering for 9 and 10, you just want to open it in the best way possible. This is a fast high-speed chicane. Again, the right front goes super close to the wall here, and probably not a curb you want to touch. And you do want to open up the next part and get flat as early as possible, and then just straighten the steering wheel for a moment. That's really important before you take this right-hander, just so the car can breathe a little bit and accelerate. You've got some nice fluoro breaker boards on the left here, so I definitely use these. I brake between these two, so I brake between the 100 and the 50, so I brake around here somewhere 60 meters before the corner. And this is a very tight corner, 3rd gear. Just touch it there, and you've got a fat, like, wide curb on the exit that you want to use for traction, and just come off it before the end. Similar to turn 4, here's where you want to lift and let some of the engine braking do the work, and the downshift do the work, and the aero slow this car here. And then quickly put the brake balance backwards, because this is one of the corners where you're really turning and braking at the same time. So you come in on this sort of angle and then brake and turn at the same time. Get the nose in. Again, a bit of a crest on the exit, so traction is a problem, and then you're away. Let's do the lap and see how we get on. 16.2. 5,577. So there you go, guys. I hope that track guide helps you. If you have any questions, drop them in the comments for me below. Cheers.